Hey, my name is Emma, this is Emma Rosen Books. I thought I'd hang out in front of my bookcase again because I haven't for a while. I don't know, weather's still way too cold to be outside, but I will, I'll be back outside at some point. Anyway, I want to do a book review for you today, and that is for The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying by Marie Kondo. Now, I've read this book before. I read it about 2 years ago, I reckon, and I started watching the Netflix series which came out recently, I don't know, last week or something. I've watched about 4 or 5 episodes of that so far, and I just thought, oh, I really want to reread the book to see if, you know, I could get any more out of it, or I don't know, I just really enjoyed it, so I wanted to read it again. It's a really quick read actually. I read this in a day and I probably only spent 2 or 3 hours reading over the course of the day, so yeah, it's pretty quick. I think I mentioned this book in my top 5 favourite books, and it definitely is. So I'm not really one for anything that could be considered like a self-help. I don't know if this really falls into that so much because it's kind of about keeping your house, but that's not really my kind of book. It's not something I would normally pick up. But this probably is pretty much the only thing I've read in that kind of ilk, but it came to me at the right time, it really did, and I just read it and it transformed everything. So that's why I want to talk about it. I feel like lots of people are really interested in Marie Kondo and in her book and in her series at the moment, and I just thought that it would be good to kind of talk about my feelings about the book and Marie Kondo's methods and so forth. So first of all, I'm going to explain why I read the book in the first place. So if we go back to when I was young, I was always very sentimentally attached to possessions. I mean, I'm no kind of psychologist, but I've always wondered whether, we moved a lot at one point, and had to kind of downsize a lot of things, and I've always wondered whether maybe that was part of why I was so kind of didn't want to ever get rid of anything. I don't know, maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just part of my personality type, but I'm the kind of person who can remember where everything came from, where did I buy that, or who gave it to me, or why did I get it. And I also, from an environmental perspective, I think that, you know, you shouldn't waste things, and if you've bought something, you bought it to use it, so you need to use it. You certainly can't throw it away, and that makes it really hard because you don't want to be wasteful, and you don't want to maybe give something to a charity shop that you know that they can't sell for whatever reason, and I don't know, I just ended up going around in circles with everything all the time. When I was young, I always had like this crazy bedroom just full of stuff. When I went to university, I must have had more stuff than any student. I had to get my mum to get a van to take all my things down to my student room, partially because I didn't actually leave anything at home. I didn't have like a bedroom back home, so I took everything, but I never downsized, and sometimes I think of some of the objects that I had in my student room and I just think, God, why did I keep that? Then my husband and I moved in together as soon as I finished university, and we actually lived in student accommodation for about 6 months probably, and we had 2 rooms in student accommodation. And then we moved in with his sister for maybe 6 months again, and that was a flat, and again we just had way too much stuff for the space. And then we moved into a 1-bedroom house, and I'm talking about 1 up, 1 down. It was absolutely tiny, and we filled it to the brim. I mean, there were shelves everywhere, there was furniture everywhere, there was stuff you know, if you looked in any cupboard, things shoved in the back. Everything was a mess, we didn't know where anything was. Loads and loads of stuff was chucked up in the loft. And I would always be like, no, because I'm the kind of person who likes like a really homely house, and I love it when people come around and say, oh, where is this from? And this is really interesting. I'd have all these objects around and interesting books, and I always had loads of hobbies as well. So like our cupboard under the stairs was completely filled with my dive kit, which is now in the loft. Like I still have it, but it's just elsewhere. But you know, there was always just so many categories of things as well. We then moved into our current house, which has 4 bedrooms. So at the time we were a couple that had come from a 1-bedroom. We were like, wow, so much space, and we literally just filled it up. And it's not even as if I have like a massive shopping habit. I'm pretty stingy, but I think we just accumulate things somehow, and people give us things, and then we had 3 children. And when we had our eldest, I actually really didn't buy anything very much. We got a few necessities, secondhand, or you know, we really didn't have any money a lot of the time. But however, with people giving you things and birthdays, and gradually you start to accumulate bits and pieces, we ended up with lots. And then because our 2 eldest children are, they're 2.5 years apart, and we wanted to have another child, so we held on to everything. And then that means that it accumulates even more when you get even more things. And I think we didn't really realise that there was a problem. And I also always had a very strong feeling that it wasn't my place to get rid of my children's things. They were their things. And I didn't have the right to get rid of them. We just ended up with just stuff because other than if maybe they grew out or something and I'd give it to a charity shop or give it to a friend or something, we just never got rid of anything. Anyway, so then when I was pregnant with our third child, my husband and I actually ended up arguing quite a lot about just how were we going to fit this child into our house, how much stuff we had, the fact that it was really hard to keep on top of it, that when I was trying to clean the house, it was like everything was an effort to clean a surface. You had to move everything off of it first, and it became a real problem. And I started kind of watching videos about storage was how it began, of like there must be a way, because people must have all of this stuff and there must be ways of keeping it sensibly. And I ended up on kind of a YouTube ramble and ended up watching decluttering videos, which then led me to people talking about the KonMari method. And I watched lots of videos of just this, people just getting rid of bags and bags and bags of stuff, and I just kind of thought, I don't want to get rid of anything, this stuff is all valuable, and it made me feel anxious because these were my things that I bought with my money, or things that people had given me, that people I cared about, and I didn't want to get rid of this stuff. And I'd watched so many YouTube videos, I really, really got addicted to it for a while, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to buy the book, because everybody raves about it, I'm going to buy the book and read it and see what I think. And the way that everything is explained in this book just made my brain go like this, and I really haven't looked back. So for anyone who doesn't know, hasn't seen the programme, hasn't read the book, doesn't know about, the whole thing, or actually I think sometimes the Netflix series doesn't necessarily explain it that well. I don't know, maybe it does, but I feel like the book explains it better. Basically the first section of the book explains where Marie is coming from in terms of her method, how her method came about, and why she thinks it's better than other methods, why she thinks it works better. Because the idea is that you just have one massive tidying event where you just sort your house out and then you make it manageable from then on. And her method is that she does things in a certain order. So you sort out clothes first, then books, then paperwork, then kind of miscellaneous bits and pieces, and then sentimental items last of all. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. And what you do for each category, so let's say clothes, you get all of your clothes and put them in a massive pile. And that was the first thing when I thought, okay, I'm going to do this with my clothes and see how it goes. I got all my clothes out and just thought, my God, in this day and age, when with everything that's going on with the planet, and I mean, I knew I had a lot of clothes. I had a triple wardrobe, maybe two, I don't know, a lot of wardrobe space. My husband couldn't keep any of his clothes in our room. Like, I knew there was a lot. But once you see it in a pile, it just kind of makes you go, how, like, I'm sick. I'm one person with one body, and sure, yeah, I want some, gym clothes and going out clothes, and, I don't literally just need 5 outfits that I recycle, but it was just insane. And then what you do is you take each item and you touch it, and some things you genuinely do pick up and kind of go, oh, I love this, and for whatever reason it might be something that makes you feel amazing, or it might be something that brings back really lovely memories, and that when you put it on you remember. I mean, this jumper is a prime example. My kids hate this. I don't care, because when I put it on it just makes me smile. So, that's a prime example. It brings me joy. Other things you touch and you just kind of go, oh, because it just makes you feel, it's the kind of stuff that you just shove on when, like, you're ill, and the point with that is, yes, you should have maybe comfortable clothes that make you feel all cosy and lovely and give you a nice feeling, but you shouldn't have, like, rubbishy things that make you feel rubbish, or things that make you feel unattractive. You should always be wearing your best things, and especially when you actually realise how much you have and think, there's no reason why I should have the stuff where I think, oh, well, I'll just chuck that on. Just, and those items, they're made to be used. Clothes are made to be worn, you know. They should be, if they're not being used, then give them somebody else who will use them. Because otherwise, in 20 years or something, they're going to be damaged or faded or out of fashion or whatever, and no one's going to want them. So make sure that they actually get a life while they're you know, while they're usable. And so I sorted all my clothes out, managed to get rid of furniture, managed to move my husband's clothes into our room, and then books was next. And I've actually always really only had one bookcase, but then there were books elsewhere. I say this, my children have a bookcase each as well, so I'm just talking about my books. But I did also have shelves in my bedroom with books, and books kind of stashed here, there and everywhere. You know how it is if you're a book lover. And I was like, but I love these books. Books are beautiful, especially when you are a book lover. It's like, but they're my precious things. But equally, books are kind of special, and they shouldn't just be sat on a shelf to go mouldy. And they do, like if they don't get air, they don't get taken out regularly, they get nasty. So now that's it. That's my books, other than my cookbooks that are in the kitchen, and one or two books that are by the side of my bed because I'm currently reading or using them. That's it. There are a couple in here actually that I've got earmarked to go. I do need another sort out of these. But basically, if I look at it and think it doesn't really bring me any joy, I'm not going to read it again, so get rid of it. And I did that to my whole house. And the thing that makes it life-changing is that because your brain does, well, first of all, is that you don't realise how much anxiety you have around your possessions, of how much it was bothering me kind of looking around and seeing all these things, seeing all the things that needed to be fixed and the things that needed sorting out and the piles of things that needed to be tidied. The fact that you have less stuff, so things are put away, they have a place to go, and that if something is broken or old or you don't like it, it's gone. And you don't worry about it because you don't have that same attachment. You're very more black and white of, oh, that thing's broken, don't worry about it, chuck it. Or whatever it is. You just get much more mercenary about making sure that yes, the things that you possess are cared for, they're stored nicely, they're looked after, but then when you are done with them, you give them to somebody else if you think that that person can make use of them, or give them to a charity shop if you think that they can sell them, or recycle it if it's had its life cycle. And to just make sure that happens. It was like a weight lifted off my shoulders, that I didn't have to worry about being the curator of all these objects anymore. And I mean, it then extended into everything. I mean, I redid my garden because I was like, well, it's too much work really for me to keep on top of it, so let's make everything simpler. And things like your life in general, you just start to, if somebody invites you to something, you don't kind of worry about, oh, well, I probably should go, and blah, blah, blah. Do you want to go or do you not? And if you want to go, you go, and if you don't, you don't. And it just, and like, you look at your career and you look at your relationships and just everything, and get far more, you give more regard to the things that you care about, and you cherish those things more and take care of them, but you are happy to lose the things that don't bring you joy anymore, and just say, well, that's okay because it's done its service to me. Maybe that friendship has run its course, or that whatever it is, and it just makes life so much simpler. And she then, after she talks about the big kind of clear out and all of that, she then talks about storage in here. And the idea is basically that you don't have storage solutions, that things are put away very simply, but also that things are put in such a way that you can see them all. So if you put things in a drawer, you stack them vertically, you don't put things on top of things. And it means that when you open a drawer, you can see everything. And that really helps. I no longer do the "where's my top" thing, because it's either in my drawer or it's in the washing. And I can open my drawer and I don't have to get everything out, and is it under there, and is it, it'll never be shoved back in a corner. It's just, is it there? No, move on. And everything is like that. Every item that you have stored is like that. And it just makes everything, yeah, I know where that is, and you can deal with it. And it also means that things don't get damaged by being on top of each other or shoved in, or, you know, so you do take better care of things and things do last better. Instead of having things squirreled away everywhere and things everywhere you look, it just means that you don't need all of that stuff, you don't need all of the clever solutions. And yes, I do of course have some storage solutions that work for me, like I have a thing on the back of a door that I put my spices in or whatever. But I don't feel that pressing need of like, oh my god, how can I rearrange this space so that I can fit this enormous quantity of stuff that we have. And we always had underbed storages, and I'm slowly getting rid of them by getting rid of stuff and kind of, I don't need them anymore. The one hold up we find, the situation we're in at the moment, is that because my eldest was brought up like that, he has more stuff than either of the girls. He's sentimentally attached to them like I am. So it's very difficult with him because he has more stuff to start with, and trying to persuade him to part with it is very difficult. I do occasionally, take things if I think he has finished with it, but he's not got the skills yet, the maturity yet to be able to part with it. I don't do it that often because I feel like it's dishonest. But he's getting a lot better at clearing things out, but his bedroom is the worst. And that's where, in this book, it talks about doing it as one event, and I think if you live on your own, or if you live in a couple and you're both on board with it, or, and you just do it, great. But because we're a family of 5, and it is much more difficult with young children, it means it's a more of an ongoing process. So we did the big clear out, but now, I always have a bag on the go where, as I find things, things that the kids have grown out of, or stuff that I don't want anymore or whatever, I'm filling up the bag, and I take at least a bag of stuff to the charity shop every week. So all of the time things are getting improved, and my husband and I are kind of figuring things out, how could we change this? So it's, for us, like, it's not over, but we're at a state now where it doesn't bother me like it used to. It's fine. And the other silly thing is, like, if somebody comes over, in the old days the house would just be a nightmare. Now if somebody comes over, it's fine, and yeah, things might not be in their place. Right now I'm looking at a couple of books on the table and some crayons the kids have left out and a blanket that's been chucked on the sofa. Like, it's not perfect, but in general our house is tidy, and you can see that it's just the mess from this morning, that it's not like craziness. And it's easier to put things away, so things do get put away where they didn't used to. And the dumping grounds, like our coffee table used to be a dumping ground, it just always had a mountain of kids' stuff on it. It doesn't happen anymore because everything just gets put away. So anyway, this is a really long, rambly way of saying that, this book just goes through in 3 sections why it's a good way of clearing things out and sorting your life out, because it really is. It's not just your stuff. Then it says how to do it, and then it talks about kind of putting everything away. The only negative, I suppose, is that Marie Kondo has some history with Shintoism, and she alludes several times to the fact that the things have a soul, or when she gets rid of something, she thanks it, and so thank you for serving me, and then gets rid of it. And she talks about how if an item is destroyed, that it's if you thanked it and you've loved it and you've cared for it, then its energy will return to you, things like that, which I know that some detractors kind of say that it's mad, but it, obviously it comes from the background that she comes from, and also, actually, when you think about it, it does make a lot of sense in that somebody has made that thing, somebody has mined the materials that have gone into it, or whatever, and somebody has created the thing, and somebody has sold the thing, and a lot of resources and time have gone into each possession that you have. And to just treat it with utter disrespect, especially, like I said, considering the environmental state that our world is in, is just a disgrace. And so actually kind of seeing your possessions as having maybe not a soul, but just having a respect for them, I think I totally get it. And actually, you know what? When I talk about boats, I still refer to them as she because I was brought up in a naval family. My instruments have names. You know, it's not that weird to I can't say that, anthropomorphisize your possessions. And actually, maybe by doing that, it does make you think a little bit more carefully about how you care for them. The final thing I want to say is that it also means that you buy less stuff because you don't want to ever get in that state again, and you only buy things where it really does bring you joy. For example, this jumper, I saw it on the shelf and said, I have to have that, that makes me really happy. You don't just buy something and go, oh, that will do, oh, it's in the sale, oh, I'll just have it. And you say no to things that people want to give you as well. Say, actually, no, I wouldn't like that, but thank you for thinking of me. I think you have to read it at the right time, because I think otherwise you would read it and think that it was just a bit odd. I really do think that it needs to come to you at the time when you're ready to read it. But if you feel like your possessions are causing you anxiety, or even if just your life is causing you anxiety and you feel like you just need to sort your priorities out, going through this process really does adjust your mindset. So if you are feeling that way, or just if you've been watching this series and you're interested, I really recommend it. I know it's not for everybody. I know some people will read it and just think, I don't want to rip my house apart trying to declutter everything, and that some people will find it just won't like the method. You know, nothing is for everybody, but from my point of view, I've gone from being somebody who had too much stuff, who worried about my things and was anxious about curating my things, to somebody who is just happy to have things that I love around me, and happy to let them go when they've expired. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say, I guess, about this book. If you've read it, please let me know what you think about it in the comments, and please like if you did, and let me know if you've seen the series too. Please subscribe if you would like to see more videos about reading and writing, because I wrote a book which is in the description. It's this one. Oh, why is there? See, I'm not perfect. There's a random placemat, table mat. Why can't I think of the word? Mat thing. I don't know. Thing you put a drink on. You can tell I'm tired. I wrote a book. It's in the description. And that, I mean, that's another thing. I quit my job and published a book, and that's in no small part due to being able to just let go of everything and say, it's okay, that's what I want to do and that's what makes me happy, and also the fact that we could support ourselves financially. So but yeah, please, if you'd like to see more content about reading and about writing, then please subscribe, and I will see you for my next video. Bye!